better work.
RuPaul set the precedent back in 1992 with the release of Supermodel. Music by drag queens has a market and the ability to catch on with a wider audience. Supermodel peaked at number 45 on the Billboard Hot 100, and while no drag queen in America has been able to reach quite the same heights since with their music, many have tried. Your makeup is terrible, this club is a haunted house, boy is a bottom, call my life. Chances are, if you're a diehard Drag Race fan like me, you've had a couple of these boundary-shattering bops in your Spotify playlists. Dinner's ready. Many Ru girls have tested the waters of releasing music, but not many have made it a full-on career. In this video, I'll be detailing the complicated and sometimes straight up cringy history of Ru girl music. Quick disclaimer, not every Ru girl release is going to be mentioned in this video because we don't have 5 hours to go through every track and album. I'll be highlighting what I see as important, influential, or trend-setting releases. But I did go through every single Ru girl release to make this video, and I have a chart of it all along with my ratings of them, and I'm going to throw it up on my Patreon. So for as little as $1, you can support the channel and get some fun bonus content. And while I'm already on the shameless plugging train, why not hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you can see whenever I release a new video. And I promise you they'll be better than Ariel Versace's discography, so... Another disclaimer, I won't be mentioning any other RuPaul songs, or songs that queens perform on the show, like Reggie Wrote You or Drag Up Your Life. Despite how iconic some of them are, I'll just be discussing music released by the Ru girls on their own, completely outside of the show. Now, some queens who have been on the series have released music before their appearance on the show, but we're just going to stick strictly to releases that came after their appearance on Drag Race. Let's get right into the history of Ru girl music. March. And that goes actually all the way back to 2009, when the very first season of Drag Race premiered. Two queens realized releasing music would be a great way to capitalize on their new status as a reality TV icon. And in the era before streaming, where fans would have to actually buy their songs on iTunes, it was much more lucrative. Tammy Brown and BB Sahara Benet both released music in 2009 after their appearances on Season 1. Tammy, in typical fashion, released a very Tammy EP titled Popcorn. It was on brand, and I'm sure fans of Tammy loved it, but it didn't make any waves. BB, on the other hand, put out a single, I'm the Shit. And this is a way more typical example of drag music. And as the winner of the season, I think it was smart for her to release this kind of track. It didn't necessarily blow up, but it set the precedent for future Ru girls that a great way to brand yourself outside of the show would be to explore the realm of music. And in 2010 and 2011, multiple queens from seasons 2 and 3 released similar on-brand singles like BB had. All mostly typical just drag queen bitch tracks. None took off or really stood out, but it's pretty obvious that queens back then didn't have a lot of connections or budgets that they would get later on, because a lot of these songs are straight up cringy. Tatiana and Sahara's music especially. Other queens releasing music around this time were Pandora, Raja, Shangela. I want to note that Shangela was the first queen to use references from the show in her music. Having a whole song as her character Laquifa from Season 3. I would say that pre-2013, the only song to really be a success was Manila Luzon with Hot Couture. It was a much higher quality than anything else Ru girls were releasing at the time. While it definitely sounds dated now, back in 2013 this was a whole ass bop, and by giving it a music video treatment and performing it at her shows, it was the biggest hit for a Ru girl at this point. Until... Willam, along with her band DWV, released a true juggernaut. Now, Willam had been releasing music way before she'd been on Drag Race, but this came out after her stint on season 4. And Boy Is a Bottom might have been a parody, but it was the biggest song for a Ru girl yet, and to this day, still might be. It became a viral sensation, and today has over 20 million views on YouTube. With a funny music video, tours to support the song, and other singles to follow, Willam was running laps around these other queens' music. It opened the door for many queens who realized that success on that level was possible.
He's just a boy when he's a bottom.
Many more queens start to jump on the train after Willam and DWV's huge hit, including Mimi on First, Alexis Mateo, Chad Michaels, even Serena Chacha. But one queen had the fan base, financial resources, and connections to make an entire body of work that would change the Ru girl landscape forever. In late 2013, Sharon Needles was on top of the world after season 4. It was the most popular season of Drag Race yet, and she was arguably the most popular queen, taking home the win and making thousands of gays around the world fall in love with her. And she gave them a whole body of work to eat up, with music videos, singles, concerts, a true pop star treatment, and something that no other Ru girl could have probably done, at least to this caliber, at the time. PG-13, her debut album, was a spooky, dancey, and dark album filled with gay superstar features like Amanda Lepore, Alaska, RuPaul. If Willam proved that a single could achieve success, Sharon proved that a whole body of work could. I don't think we have the music landscape we do in the Drag Race fandom without this album. Sharon Needles knew her shtick, and she knew her fan base, and she released a project that suited it perfectly. The quality of Ru girl music definitely improved once we hit 2014. So much less cringe, I promise. Manila Luzon released an album herself, but it didn't really reach the heights that was set by many queens before her. A whole new set of Ru girls started dropping singles, but after Sharon branded a whole album around her persona, and Shangela put out that single referencing her time on the show, most of the queens jumped on this train. Latrice puts out Wait, Fifi puts out Bitchy, Venus Delight puts out the timeless bop I'm Not Madonna. JK is really bad. But we'll see this trend become a staple in Ru girl music, even to this day. But truly highly anticipated releases drop in 2014 to much different reception. Jinx Monsoon and Adore Delano were the fan favorites of their respective seasons, and two of the biggest fan favorites ever. After showing off their amazing vocal abilities on the show, fans were eager to get some music from them. And so they finally both dropped albums in 2014. While Jinx's is more cabaret, acoustic, personal, something that's to be expected from Jinx and like where she comes from and her roots. Adore, on the other hand, drops her punk exterior that she had on the show to release a straight-up EDM club album, which was very unexpected for her at the time. And which do you think the drag fans gravitated towards?
Down, 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 I'm DTF. Down, 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 I'm DTF.
Jinx proved that it takes more than a fan base and talent to find success, and Adore proved that putting out well-crafted and catchy dance music will work for basically anyone.
In it on the first day, going straight to third base.
I find this dichotomy interesting, which is why I bring it up. I think a lot of queens felt probably pigeonholed to stick to like the typical gay club anthem after this, and it would stay this way for a long time.
Screaming, baby, give me some. Paperback, bitch, busted in the face.
So it's at the point in 2015 that releasing a single after your season airs is starting to become a standard for any queen who finds success on the show. Queens like Laganja, Gia, Courtney, Violet, and even Kasha drop music. But no one shakes up the landscape until a certain queen from Planet Glamtron finally releases her highly anticipated album.
Greetings, Earthlings. My name is Alaska Thunderfuck 5000 from the planet Glamtron. What's yours?
Anus breathed life into what was becoming a pretty underwhelming pool of Ru girl singles. Absurd, stupid, and sometimes even purposely annoying, it was something truly special and unique. With throbbing beats, hysterically inappropriate lyrics, and her grating voice included throughout, it was a completely new take on music for a Rue girl. And people ate it up. To this day, any of the singles from this album come on in a gay bar and people will shout every word. This Is My Hair, Your Makeup Is Terrible, Anus, the list goes on of iconic hits from this album.
Your makeup is terrible. Your makeup is terrible.
And she would follow this with an even bigger sophomore album in 2016 after All Stars 2.
My name is Alaska Thunderfuck, and I have something to say.
One of the most controversial figures in the fandom at this time, Alaska capitalized on that by releasing songs like The Tea, where she spills all the secrets and all the gossip surrounding her at the time.
Getting drunk, I got 100 problems, drinking ain't one. I try to quit drinking, but it's too much fun.
She created new catchphrases in songs like Stun, Race Chaser, Come to Brazil. She referenced iconic moments from her time on Drag Race, like in Puppet. Alaska was the smartest girl releasing music at this time. Her crazy music videos and lyrics kept everyone talking, and the music was genuinely catchy and fun to listen to, even if it was a little bit dumb. I still listen to these two albums all the time. It's really good.
Stun.
Queens like Tatiana and Bob the Drag Queen were also releasing popular singles based off their catchphrases from the show. But at this time, Alaska, Sharon, and Adore were basically ruling Rue Girl music, probably because of their consistent drops and high-quality albums. Sharon and Adore both released albums in 2016 and 2017. While their second and third albums maybe didn't reach the heights of their debuts, they still got more traction than most of the music coming out. I bet you didn't even know that Mimi I'm First and Fifi O'Hara released albums in 2016, so...
Make sure you don't stop, bring it back up and then death drop. Purse fires. Walk to the room, purse fires.
We're gonna jump to 2017, where I'm gonna say it's the year that started the modern age of Drag Race music.
Cocky.
There were lots of highly talked about releases, like Shea Coulee's debut EP, which had the fan favorite song Cocky on it.
Cocky.
Aja released Level Ya Pussy Up, which would grow hugely in popularity after she did an iconic performance of it on All Stars. The New York Queens of Season 9 all teamed up for Clat, which people still quote all the time. There were lots of drag music standards that were released in this year.
Peppermint, why you so nice? 'Cause I can be. Peppermint, how you always right? 'Cause I am be. Peppermint, how you stay looking so nice? Getting dollars in your titties almost every single night.
I do want to point out that the talent show being introduced on All Stars after All Stars 2 definitely contributed to the amount of singles being released during this time, and even continues today. Tons of Rue girls either promoted their music by performing it on the talent show, like Adore and Ginger and Aja, but more importantly, queens would record and release songs specifically for this challenge. So Milk, Morgan, Naomi, Trinity, Monique, India, Juju Cracker, there are so many, I could go on forever, but this is a huge thing now.
And strut.
I mentioned earlier that many queens didn't release music that was outside of the typical dance club genre, but one queen broke out of this box and managed to find huge success, and that is Trixie Mattel.
Mama, don't make me put on the dress again. I can't stand the way it opens when I spin.
Releasing a string of EPs that were bluegrass and country inspired, it was a huge risk, as those genres aren't usually what the gays live for. But it worked out for her, and as her branding of them, which coincided with her being on All Stars and winning, and all of the music videos that she put out for them, contributed to both of these EPs being huge successes for her.
I never meant to break your heart. I never meant to break your heart. I never meant to pull you apart, but I do it all over again.
After so many queens blew up with their music the year prior, 2018 became the year every drag queen and their drag mother jumped on the music train. The list of queens releasing music in 2018 more than doubled the amount in 2017. The new standard of All-Stars queens releasing music for the talent show definitely contributed to this, but lots of queens like Laganja, Cynthia, Eureka, Valentina, Gia, they all had single releases. And the amount of albums this year, there were so many. The girlies were busy in 2018. Alexis Michelle, Jinx Monsoon, Willam, Tammy Brown, so many, but I do want to highlight two. Tatiana and Jiggly Caliente released two of the most sonically cohesive, mature, okay, for drag standards, and fun albums in Rue Girl history. Neither blew up per se, but they didn't rely on drag tropes or campiness, and they were kind of completely removed from the drag world. They were just regular albums. They were just regular music. No drag references, no catchphrases, just really good songs that they obviously spent a lot of time on. So if you haven't listened to T1 or Thought Process, I highly recommend these albums. We've also gotten to the point where everyone on the new season drops singles when they get eliminated, which is a standard in both seasons 10 and 11. Yuwa Hamasaki, Dusty Ray Bottoms, Mayhem Miller, Miss Vanjie, Kanhana Montrese, Honey Davenport, Soju, Mercedes Von Diamond, Ariel Versace. I could go on and on. But music didn't have to just be a thing for the girls who made it far in their seasons or had huge fan bases. I think this goes to show just how much has changed since the early years of the show. The resources and connections these girls have now are exponentially more. A queen who goes home first now has a better produced single than the original winner of the show did back in season 1. Let that sink in. 2019 and 2020 has so many releases, it's hard to even keep track. We've come to a point where releasing music is an expectation with going on the show. Not all of it is good, trust me, but you can tell many girls have no musical talent at all and release music anyway. But there are still a lot of standouts that have happened in the last 2 years. Blair St. Clair released her debut EP in 2018 when she was on season 10, and it showed a lot of promise, featuring huge pop singles with soaring choruses and striking production.
Untamable, insatiable, unbreakable, it's irresistible.
She followed this up in 2020 though with her debut album Identity to coincide with her return on All Stars. I think she has one of the strongest voices of all of the Rue girls, and Identity has some of the best production I've ever heard from someone from the show. These songs could legitimately be formed by like a main pop girl and no one would even be like, huh? Blair is definitely the most exciting Rue girl releasing music right now. Trixie finding success in country music I think has led to other Rue girls delving into different genres other than just dance and pop. Aja put out a rap album, which showed off their talent in lyricism and wordplay. Trinity the Tuck put out a comedy album, following her win on All Stars. Katya, oh my gosh, Katya. She just put out the weirdest project I think I've ever heard, so trust me, it's very Katya. Evie Oddly just put out a trap album. Nina West, for God's sake, put out a fucking children's album. While the success of these projects varies, it's nice to see the discography of these queens veer off into so many different directions compared to the early years where kind of everything sounded the same. It might be pretty hard to keep track of everyone releasing music, and with so many queens putting out subpar music over the years, it might seem like most drag music is crap, but there are some real great projects that have been released over the years. The quality of Rue girl music has changed quite a bit since Tammy and BB released their singles way back in 2009. From huge album rollouts to viral hits, it's hard to tell where the landscape of Rue girl music is heading next. I think the natural progression should have a queen have a mainstream hit. I mean, there are queens like Blair and Tatiana that seem like it's possible, but with basically every queen on this show on newer seasons putting out music, it could literally be anyone. Now, whether a queen will have a song outdo the success of RuPaul's Supermodel, that's yet to be seen. But with the mass amount of Rue girl music being released yearly, it's bound to happen soon, right?
This is my hair.
Alright guys, this is a much different video than what I normally would put out on this channel, and I hope you enjoyed it. I put a lot of time into it, and it was supposed to come out in December, but I wasn't happy with it, so I redid a lot. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. Check out my Patreon and subscribe to this channel for some more videos on Rue girl music coming really soon. Guys, it's been a long night trying to figure out why the hell Tatiana ever thought releasing True was a good idea, but I'm gonna go. I'll see you all in the next one.